So now I want to show some examples. This is slide number 5 now for chapter number 14. This slide is simply just showing you a sample title page. You can call it title page, you can call it cover page, any of those. And as I mentioned, it shows you the title and followed by name and who you're submitting to. Again, it depends on your requirement what you need to put on it, but it's just a simple page. Also, slide number 6. This is a sample of a table of contents. See how the style is? Table of contents goes in the start, and the style is like you have numbering. You can put subheadings again. Again, it depends on your report, how you want to put your table of contents. When you do your co-op, for sure, you will be doing that with your instructor as well. But just to give you an idea what a table of content is, this is how it looks like. Findings. Now, again on slide number 4, I talked about executive summary, and as I mentioned to you, executive summary is something which summarizes why the research was done. It's very brief, it's very small, it is not the whole report, however it goes in the start of the report just after the table of contents to let any reader know what is the research about, what would be the findings, what do those findings mean, and anything. It's like giving a teaser without telling the whole report. In the end of the report, we have something called the conclusion. And as I mentioned, conclusions are supposed to be statements or generalized comments to just answer what was actually being asked initially in the research objectives. Moving on, recommendations. Now, recommendations are, there is no hard and fast rule for recommendations. You cannot say that there is a formula you have to follow. However, marketing research specific recommendations usually are based on marketing strategies, meaning you would improve one of the 4 P's more likely. And plus, you tend to focus on your clients' achievements of differential advantage. Differential advantage means an advantage that is gained due to how you compare a company with its competitor and what is this company doing better than the other company. We use a similar term called competitive advantage. Competitive advantage and differential advantage are more or less the same. Competitive advantage is a term which means how company A compared to company B is better. And differential advantage has a similar meaning, except that what does company A do differently than company B that gives it an advantage. So sometimes the recommendations could even be based on a company's differential advantage, and you would formulate according to that. Repeating myself, there is no hard and fast rule for recommendations, but recommendations are supposed to be advices that you can give at the end of the report. Now, that was all about the research report. Now let's talk about the presentation. One of the softwares that is most popular nowadays in the world is something called Microsoft PowerPoint, the same software that I'm using now, and I'm sure you girls are aware of it. The beauty about PowerPoint is that literally, like this slide, you can put everything down, you can put a title, you can put a background, you can put colors, beautifully presented by putting bullet points like here. See, like I have the bigger bullet points and small ones. You can indent, you can put graphs, charts, as you use PowerPoint more, you actually find it's a very useful tool when you're making a presentation because it supports you, it gives a visual for the audience. So it's a very good tool. So usually when researches are done, a meeting is done afterwards with the client, and most usually a presentation is made to do that, just like what you girls did for your final presentation. Now, what do you need for your final presentation or the presentation for a research? You need to have, well, first of all, your presentation outline. Similar to what I gave you, you should have a slide for the title, a slide for an agenda, then maybe two slides on every topic. While you're making a presentation, for sure you need a laptop or a computer because you're going to be using the computer for this. For sure, the presentation software, which is the Microsoft PowerPoint, has to be there. Plus, you have to make sure any room, any hall, any meeting room you're using should have a projector, because you cannot make a presentation of a PowerPoint without a projectors, which is, there for the visual. And finally, always make sure that the research report that you actually made have copies for the audience so that they can read and review it while you're giving your presentation. Now, about the presentation, this is all about your communication skills course. Make sure your presentation is according to the audience. Make sure the audience knows the terms you will be using. Make sure you know how much time they have. So let's say if they have half an hour, don't make a presentation ready for an hour. Know who you're going to be talking to. If you're talking to your own team, you can use jargon or what we say as technical terms. If you're going to be talking to clients who don't know the terms, you have to simplify your language. So this is what we mean by receiver's frame of reference, meaning always know that who is the audience and how you can explain it to them. To give you a simple example, if I would teach a management term to someone in middle school, I would give them funny examples from cartoons. But if I would teach the same concept of management to a high schooler or a college student, I would use advanced case studies. So you have to always bear in mind the audience who's the receiver of your presentation, what is their frame of reference, what is their way of thinking. Make sure you know their attitudes, how serious they are. If you find your audience is falling asleep, maybe you need to change the way you're presenting, maybe you need to add in some questions. Do not have any negative reaction to the prejudice that the audience has. Prejudice means that sometimes people would walk into a presentation and they already have a negative attitude. Prejudice basically means preconceived notions or ideas. So, for example, if someone would say, "Oh, I'm going to be bored in that presentation because it's being made by a woman," that is a prejudiced attitude. So be sure that if you're going to be presenting, be prepared for any such kind of negative or attitude, and you are able to work around it. Know the background of the people. If you're going to be talking to marketing people, you can use marketing terms. However, if they're people from medical background or any other background, you have to make sure you keep that in mind while you're talking. And as I already mentioned, make sure that you are respectful of the time that the audience has. Also make sure that you understand the barriers to effective communication. If you're making a presentation, basic rules: if you talk too fast, you don't make eye contact, your presentation has too much information, your voice is not clear, things like you're talking and you go like you're not clear in enunciating your words, definitely people will get bored and they will stop listening. So imagine something like a class, one of your courses maybe, where you find the lecture very boring, and try to imagine why is it boring. So those more or less would be the barriers to your effective communication. Maybe the presenter is not interesting, maybe the topic is not interesting, maybe the terms used are not clear, the time, the room is too cold, maybe you're hungry. Any of those reasons related to an audience or to the presenter can be a barrier to effective communication. So if you want to make a good marketing research presentation, make sure you know those barriers and you work against them. A very good technique that is taught in communication skills is that when you start a presentation, start with something to break the ice. It could be something like a joke. It could be a story, just to make the people ease up, and then you can proceed with the rest of the presentation. So this was the end of chapter number 14. Please review the terms and concepts, and if you have any questions, just post it to the board. Thank you.